Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. As always, the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by the Simple Sword, available on Amazon.com. My guide for the easiest, quickest way to learn the basics of Western martial arts, as well as Big Stompy Robots, the quick play, easy to learn, fast to play, rules light system that I made, also available at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tucker. Most of all, I'm brought to you by my patrons and supporters. That's Cindy Kep, that's Brian K. Morris, that's Steve Augosto, and one more I'm going to hold off as a surprise. Do you know who it is? I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it, folks. This is thank you for the like, thank you for the save. I'm also brought to you by Steve Clausen and John Miner. Now, this is going to be a little different than usual in that I'm not hit. If I seem like I'm missing my usual notes, this week has been an incredibly stressful time for me. A very emotional time. Hello, Cindy. I lost my dear friend Benjamin Starkey. I went to college with him. I've known him for nearly 20 years, and he was one of the best humans I've ever known. And his wife and his two young children, this was very out of the blue, a sudden heart attack, are going to suffer without assistance. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you, in the description, I put a link to his GoFundMe. And I don't think he's 40 yet, and he got struck down. So we're going to talk. I have 2 pages of notes, but first we got to get in because this hit me, folks. This hit me hard, and it hit me in a point where I got to talk about it. So this is how it rolls. We live in a time and a place where there's a misnomer, an idea that we just have time to get stuff done. And we feel entitled to have that time. And I'm going to tell you that we don't. Too often, too many great creatives I know, authors and writers and game designers, artists and swordsmen, and all these wonderful people I know, tell me, well, I'll get to that later. I have to do this first. I'll get to that later, without a benefit, promise, or hope that there is going to be a later. So, folks, we got to get up and we got to look and get some perspective on this. We got to stop. Too many people I know, instead of growing backbones, have grown wishbones. And when that wishbone breaks, you're not going to get what you want. So what we have to do, okay, and I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you all to get up and come together and do the thing. And I'm not even going to tell you what the thing is. But I know people, they're in their 60s. They're in their 50s. They have dreams and I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And I'm tired of talking to widows and orphans and folks who love other people and they have not found their dreams. They remember, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Well, folks, there's no promise you'll get to it. We are survivors of 2020, and some of us only barely. And we are at a time when a pandemic is ransacking folks, and we could lose everything. So if you have a dream, if you have something that matters to you, I want to see you reach up, and I want you to see you get it. And if you know somebody who has a dream and they're having trouble, I want you to reach down and help them. See, now I'm going to talk a little bit of religion here. I don't normally talk it, but folks, I believe there are 2 forces when it comes to that sort of thing. You've got faith and you've got works. And I look around and I see people just rats on wheels spinning up, getting jack done that matters to them. And I see people on their knees and they're praying or they're praying to the TV gods or whatever they're looking at. I want this. But they won't get up off their knees to do anything about it. So, folks, before I get rolling into my usual stuff, I'm going to hit you hard, fast, and on point about this stuff. We have to live defiantly and chase the dreams that we have in our hearts. Now we're going into 2021. Spring is coming, folks. So right now, if you want to learn to fight, you want to do cool, buy my book, buy somebody's book, get up, drill, work, make it happen. And if I can, I'm going to help you because that's what I do. I am a celestial footstool helping folks level up just a little bit. And if I can, I will. And if I can't, I'm going to bump you to somebody else. That's what I do. That's what the guild is about. That's what we're about. And I'm really on it tonight. So, that being said, we're going to make 2021 better, and you're going to do it. So I'm going to say, hi, Cindy. I know I started to. Hi, John. You caught me on a high roller day. Brother Loves Travel and Salvation Show has pulled into the stuff today, and we're all on it. I got some news. I got some annoyance. I got stuff on ye old platter to discuss, and it is going to be interesting because heaven help me, I'm a little cheesed, and not necessarily in a bad way. Boink, that's what I needed. Okay, as always, for the friends who know me, I will be available through the messenger. My brain is just kind of falling out right now. And that's okay. I'm only 4 days into knowing I lost somebody very important. So this is normal for me. I don't treat loss like others do. I don't allow it to be a pacifier. I take grief like I take spite. It becomes fuel to drive the engine, which is my defiance of faith. Fate, not faith, folks. Don't let my speech impediment get me in trouble with the boss. But big news, industry news, we're going to roll with that. First off, let me check my handy-dandy notes. Okay. You don't need to see the gesture I just made for the items on the floor. You don't. There is some good stuff. Take a breather, ground and center. John, I had some stuff come up literally 5 minutes before broadcast, on top of other things. It's been an exciting run, but that's okay, because we can do this. Now, Purple Heart Armory, okay? They just got a whole new line of steel trainers that look gorgeous. They are high-end steel trainers, but Montantes, they have a Hungarian, and they have a gorgeous Persian saber. If you're into an old-school scimitar-feeling weapon, really check into that. Buddy, I gave it the Strong Bad's double deuce, you know? John says next time wave at the book with all your fingers. Nah, not tonight. Tonight is a night of truth, elevation, and inspiration. But I was looking through it. I go through the checklist every week so you don't have to. There's supposed to be some new stuff that might be out tonight, might be out tomorrow. They love to do new releases right after my show. Drives me bonkers. But to the people who are looking to outfit a number of people, or they want wooden trainers, very nice high-end wooden trainers, Purple Heart Armory has some beautiful wooden short swords made out of hickory, and they're on sale for $25, which is like really cheap. They have 3 left, and they're on sale till, like, we'll say May 29th, and they have 4 long swords that are on sale till August 27th at $40. These are really good prices for the folks who, yeah, John, is for the folks who are looking to get in and get the ground built and get going, especially in this era where you have to be careful what you train with because it can be misconstrued as a political movement. So absolutely, I go through every week and I check for new trainers and new items over at the different suppliers. And Purple Heart's still trying to come up with new things. Their basic line is expanding. I love it because that's what we need. Now, the next big thing, yeah, well, that's why John says be careful with those. Hickory can splinter and cast off. Any wood trainer can splinter. That's why the SCA uses rattan, which is that bamboo-y stuff, but it's solid that they make furniture out of, because that becomes mushy. It pulps when it breaks down. I'm still a big proponent of polypropylene. I love HDPE. HDPE poly. Where's one of my poly weapons? Hold on. I know I have more insight, but whoops. Kukri, polypropylene. Wonderful materials. Okay. They don't splinter off. But if you're looking for a low-cost, very aesthetic, you have to understand there are a lot of people who are getting into Hemo because of Game of Thrones, especially the whole water dance bit with Arya and her Swordmaster. So since that's a fairly prominent theory, keeping a few trainers that look vaguely like that is something I keep logged in the back of my mind. Blades USA actually has some very discount wooden sword trainers if you're going for that. And remember, I always try to look at bargain basement pricing so that the new people can build back up. Practice herding cats. Practice herding cats is pretty much what any swordmaster has to do. That's my game, my sport, my second favorite hobby, I swear. But Stef Mari. Yes, I want to see who would ping. You get the winner. Stef Mari is my fourth patron on that list. Now, I have others who had to drop off because of 2020, and I don't hold it against them an iota because we have to survive in all this. But there's good stuff coming towards Stef Mari's, right? And to those of you who are patrons and haven't done it, send me your direct snail mail stuff. I have a surprise in the works. It's as my flippers allow, but it's going to be worth the wait. Trust me, because I want to thank the people who supported me in 2020 when the world was going to heck. So something special is coming down the pipe. But one second. Oh, that's the good stuff. Now, what you guys don't know, I hope Stef's in the house. I really do. We have 3 watchers and 2 likes. So whoever's watching and doesn't like me, tell me what I'm doing wrong, and they're gone. Happens every time, folks. But that's okay, too. Like I said, I'm kind of flying high. Those of you who don't know, look back. This is a cricket minimalist. I have a couple. This is the Bowie style. This was a gear well to know. I always carry a neck knife, and I use the knives I carry as the tools they are. Now, I am annoyed, and what I'm annoyed about is CRKT, which I occasionally refer to as Cricket, the Columbia River Knife and Tool Company. Yeah, makes beautiful knives, and for a time, with their premium knives, they made things like great grip, very positive. This is a very special knife and very special sword. And I became enamored with this crazy idea, folks. And I know it's crazy seeming that if you're going to make a knife, make a trainer so people can practice safely with what they carry every day. Now, yes, I count this as a tool far more than I think of it as a weapon. And I've discussed my reasoning. It is valid as a weapon, don't get me wrong. But I see it as a tool first. This is not like I'm concealed carry, a pistol. John says, once again, I'm joining you from Monterey next week back at the shop for 3 days. Cool. Maybe you can crank something out other than the snores you desperately deserve. But what you guys don't know for sure is that I wrote CRKT and said, okay, basically, I love your knives. My students love your knives. Just about every week I talk about your knives. Please make a trainer version so that when we're teaching self-defense and we're teaching something else, they can go and practice drawing and defending and using this as a defensive tool safely. I mean, you already have the sheath design. You just need a plastic one of these to shrink in the sheath. Charge us for it. Make it bright orange so that there's no contest. And let's roll with this bad boy. I was a little more elegant in my message, but you understand. They responded. Thank you very much for taking the time to write us and for your design suggestions. I will email them onto the design team for review, and hopefully we will offer something more to your specifications in the coming years. Thank you again for your comments and your support. CRKT Customer Service Team, 1-800-891-3100. Now, that is both awesome and a little cringy because the phrase years. This bothers me because I've scoured the market, and I do regularly looking for a certain set of items. There are a couple cold steel trainers. The Laredo Bowie comes to mind, which are almost kitchen knife trainers, but I'm having trouble finding kitchen knife trainers. I think one of the blue martial arts companies used to make one and clocked it around $50. I'm still looking. But this is something I think is needed because so many people, if you're honest, you ask them, something goes bump, what do you do? Well, I'm going to pull a knife out of the block and I'm going to check the house. Especially people who, for reasons, don't have the availability of firearms or something else more proactive. So that tells me it may be a couple of years before they can make it happen. And I'm sure when they do, it will be a phenomenal little implement. I have absolute faith in the Columbia. I'm not. People who know me know my favorite brand is generic, you know? So when I have brand loyalty, it is rare, it is hard earned, and it is easily lost. But until then, that still leaves us with this quandary. I'm talking to people regularly, and I sing the praises of the usefulness of a neck knife because I believe a neck knife is an EDC tool. Okay, and if you're going, train with what you carry with what you train with, you know? So, let's see. Now, I want to talk because I'm going to talk to John Miner especially. One, you make Swakhammer metals really start rolling, John. And this ties into Ben. This ties into a lot of things in my mind. It's loops and connections. I really want you to consider packaging a steel knife, a steel sword, and a training version that is matched as close as you can. This needs to be something that I would consider industry standard because there's no logic, no necessity for not doing this, okay? And that's something I want to see, and I'm really, really pushing. And as a HEMA guy, as a martial artist, and as somebody who's interested in just survival without being like nutty about it, what you want is small little things you can do that greatly give benefit. How did you know my next moves? Because you're intelligent, John. John also asked, how do I get on a Ontario Air Force Survival Night in neon colors, the sheath and neck cord for me, I can do myself. Okay, how do you get one in neon colors? Well, what I would say in your case, it's not that hard because where is the dang thing? Sorry, I've been cleaning, which means I can't find anything. Oh, I know. Hold on, let me move this item here. Yes. John, it's kind of funny that you asked that. Okay, this is exactly what he's talking about. The the Ontario mini K-bar, right? Which we've decided is pretty much a perfect deck knife for them. This one is labeled Ontario 691. I don't know if that's when it was made or if that's its model. Hex cap, let me see if I can get some light on there for you. Okay. Now, John, you're asking something you can answer. This is a stacked leather handle. So what I would do in your boat, because this is also totally paintable steel, I would wrap masking tape around the blade, wrap masking tape around the guard, and possibly around the pommel, and just leather dye that whatever color you want. Tandy's has a tremendous number of dyes that you can get. That is the model number. Okay, so cool. That way you can get the exact one I had you years and years ago. I would probably lightly buff it so that the dye sinks in and let it go. But me telling you how to dye something is a bit like telling grandma how to suck eggs. But so I really, and I'm not kidding, in your case, this would be a perfect neck knife because you like a certain amount of weight. And this is literally to scale in your hand what this is to me, both in grip and in finger depth. It's a nice 3-finger knife. And I mean, it's a great little guy. It has a nice functioning little sawback. You could baton it. You could throw it. I've done horrible things to this knife. Obviously, this is a pencil sharpener. Any knife I have at some point or another gets these streaks. It's just the way I am. This is a terrible sheath, but they didn't have a real sheath. This one was in the back. And since I got this for like $10 when it was a substantially more expensive knife, I'm not complaining. Oh, the question was for rhetoric purposes. I have the die. Then do it. Do it, John, and post pictures up on the Historical Fencing Guild public group on YouTube. Now, I do approve everyone who comes on because we've had our share of bots and we've had our share of people who either misconstrued what the acronym was or were just trying to use it as a selling venue for things that don't have to do with us. I actually had one lady trying to sell bootleg attack dogs. I couldn't make this stuff up. So, what I'm saying is I talked to CRKT. I would love to find out that they've made this. If that's how things work, I may call them up and ask about something else I was designing. If not, like, John, you know what? Obviously, you can't make this, but make a little neck knife and make a trainer and then send them to me, and I will plug the heck out of them to sell them to you. Sell them to people. I do count this as paid promotion, and I'll have to check the standards to make sure that, because I am, yeah, $65. That sounds about right. Which, for that grade of knife, I have no problem with in the cost. This is the kind of knife you do not want to lose, you know, but this is what I consider a once-in-a-lifetime, this could go to my grandkids' grade of knife. It's just a handy, high quality, it's a little heavy, it's old-fashioned, and that's okay. You know, I'm heavy and old-fashioned. I still have to do a neck review on the neck knife that Stef sent me. But that's coming down the line. I've been dealing with things. And like I said, and I'm going to bring it up a couple times, there is a GoFundMe for Ben. And I want you guys to look into it. And if you can give, and even if you can't give, share it. This man dedicated his working life to helping special needs people and his fun life to running charity gaming events for disabled veterans. This hits my bailiwick so hard, and his wife and children are some of my favorite people in the universe. And there, yes, just like the Marine K-Bar, Arben, yes, okay. Benjamin Starkey, guild member, the father of Arcticon, And one of the best human beings I've ever known passed away late, I believe, Monday night. And he had a sudden heart attack. Attempts were made, and he leaves behind a wife and daughter, and a wife, a daughter, and a son, and sisters, and a bunch of people. Basically, Ben was the glue that held several communities together. He's one of the best people I've ever known, and I do not say that lightly. While I may mourn the loss of many people, there aren't many like Ben, and we are all diminished by his loss. And I almost didn't do a show this week, but I decided things and I can't get it done because of real life or necessity. And I am on a one-man crusade against regret in my life. And I have some, but I'd far rather go down swinging than not. And I want everybody. Yes, John, Benjamin Chidalik Starkey, the one from PNC. Big Ben, yes. I'm sorry, that came out a little sharp. It hit me pretty much like a ton of bricks. And yeah. So in the description for this video is the GoFundMe for his family. I'm looking at other sidelines. If you don't like programs like GoFundMe or anything like that, talk to me and maybe we can work out other arrangements. But yeah, he was a brother in arms. He was first prime of Doom Bunny. He and I watched Cav go down and come back, and I wouldn't be a published gamer if it hadn't been through traveling in circles with Ben Starkey. He was a hero. He and I worked with severe mentally and physically handicapped. He chose to work in very dangerous places for underprivileged youths and unpopular things because he was doing the right thing, and I hold that to incredibly high regard. Yeah. So I deal with things twofold. First off, we take care of those left behind because that's what family does. That's what the noble, he earned that for his family. And the next thing I do is I start kicking butt for the other people who aren't taking things serious. Thank you, Cindy. You've actually been a great comfort. Because life is short and you don't know when it's going to end. So you got to go out and you have to do things. And I know because of the way I am, I will never get everything I want done because I have a beautiful son and I want to live forever just to look after him. But I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can to leave a legacy. And I'm chasing what I thought were impossible dreams because Ben passing, folks, broke something in me. And it didn't just like break it. It disintegrated it. We can't hesitate. We can't hold back to do good out of fear of failure or fear of success. Can't do it. If you got a dream, you got to work it. You got to make it happen. And then you do it, and then you move on to the next. And you help people, and you build them up. Because when a light goes out, we got to compensate, folks. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do what we can to take care of the family. We're going to do what we can to take care of the field, the dreams. Ben was a martial artist. He was trying to get back into shape. He wanted this spring. He wanted to fight. He wanted life hit. And then he was gone. So you got to get up and you got to be something, folks. And you got these ideas. It's like, it isn't, you don't have a guarantee of tomorrow. So you gotta work. And it's hard and it's uncomfortable and people don't like to talk about our mortality. But folks, the discussion has to be had. And you guys saw me about a month ago, maybe, having to drink my drink, clutching with pressure because of my condition. I lost the use of my fingers. Barely, my hands were useless. And I'm getting it back because it was part of the damage from the testing, and part of it is just finding out that I have carpal tunnel, I have neuropathy. I am living, and I've said it to anyone who's known me, on borrowed time. I am upright on borrowed time. So I got to do some stuff while I can, and I got to fight that line as hard as I can. So that's what I'm going to do. This may be a little less than my usual, and I'm okay with that. Because part of it is admitting I'm allowed to grieve, and I'm allowed to grieve in my way. And the way I grieve is I take care of people. That's my answer to nearly everything. I take care of people, and I try to learn from it. I try to make something good come from it, even if it's sideways. I chase dreams and joy and silliness because that's what the people around need. They need our smiles as much as they need our tears, and they need friendship, and they need us to be there. So if you cared for Ben and you know Ben, be there for his family. Be there for each other. Be there for the friends that can. With my condition and this whole COVID thing, I may not even be able to go to his funeral. If there even is one. I don't know. And that haunts me. Not for him, because I know Ben. I knew his spiritual situation. And I have ways. And I have no fear for him spiritually. I go for the family. And Ben was one of those people where family had the lines of friend, family had nothing to do with blood. And that, you know what? That's okay. It's a good thing. Because if we made more people our family, there'd be less fighting and hate and darkness and evil running around under the guises of political movements. And I'm tired of that too. So do something you enjoy if you see this. Yeah, John. John says you have ways to do things for him and his family, as do I. Good. They're good people. And like I said, if you need other routes, talk to me. We'll figure something out. We got to stick together. That's why it's a guild. Guilds build members up. They support and train and elevate. You know, I kind of run in this group of crazy authors and comic book guys, and that's a niche part of what I do. But they're called the Risingtide Network, Risingtide publications, right? You know, just good stuff. Spearheaded by a guy named Brian K. Morris. He is one of my other patrons, if I haven't mentioned him. I have a little bit of grief brain right now. But Brian is all about building people up. And in the comic industry and in the indie writing industry, that's known. And I want that to be known other places. What we do as Western martial artists is by nature in conflict. When I step in the ring and we're sparring, I'm trying to beat you. You're trying to beat me. That's part of it. It is a test of our mutual skills, but it's done with sportsmanship and honor and respect. And as soon as that's done, we're building each other up to get better. That's what we're about. And I don't care. I don't care if you're AmpGuard or SCA or IPA. I don't care. If you want to get better and I can help you get better, cool. If you can help other people get better, I'm going to try to connect you. That's what I do. I am a facilitator. And that's what we have to do, folks. We have to facilitate. Now, getting back to topic a little bit, I received some questions over the week, and let me get to them. I just want to make sure that my comms are indeed, there we go, working. No, that was family stuff. I know what that is. Give me a second. I was asked about neck knives, and that's why I was talking about them earlier. I'm going to come back to it. I was checking up Steve Clausen of well, actually, I can't say of all the products he's of yet, but he sent me a couple knives. He sent me carbon fiber non-metal knives, and he sent them for me to review, and I did. And the company that makes them has made some changes. So I went to look to reprice check these guys because they were around $25, and from their site I didn't find them. And I'll show you these guys because they're fascinating. These are 2 carbon fiber neck knives. This one was the one that was sent to me, and I said for the first time, I think it might be a knife that's a little too small even for my hand. And I was a little concerned about the lack of material. Now, they have a model very similar to this line out currently. If you go to Cool Hand, I think it's coolhandgear.com, where they filled this in so it just has the holes to put something like a grip cord of some sort through. Not these great big skeletonized holes. But they're very neat. Now, I have mixed opinions on these because they are they're nowhere near as sturdy as steel, so their tool use is not as effective as their self-defense weapon use. But I love this technology because I want to see more waterproof designs for knives because I am, or at least I used to be, a skin diver. Now, there's a lot more of me, so there are reasons I refer to myself as the Mighty Manatee Man. But they also sent me this called the Feather. Now, this makes me happy. It's a very nice, this is what I consider a very reasonable work knife profile. Okay? The shape is simple. It locks it in the hands. It's a little bit of gimping on the handle. Still has a blade. You can cut things with this. It's fascinating. Now, I was talking to some people. Why, Nick? With all the knives in the world, do you still talk about? When these stopped working, John. That would be when I started growing flippers. As these stopped working, I realized I could still do this. And, I would love some nice. The manatee thing is, if I were not being of service, what that means, if I were not chasing both the dreams of creating games and authoring and doing stuff for Luke Stone and all this, if I were being totally hedonistic, I would be on a beach somewhere in shallow, warm, fresh water, bopping around like a manatee, having a grand old time. I would be like the penultimate beach bum if I were just hedonistic. But contrary to my best natures, I'm not. I could no sooner do that than I could stop breathing right now. Now, there will come a time where the neuropathy in my legs catches up to me and I can't walk real well. Ooh, yeah, Monterey is gorgeous, John. Southern Cal is just gorgeous. And who knows, maybe I'll end up there. I don't know. I know sometime in the coming year, if I am alive, I'm going swimming. I've been far too long out of the water and I am dry. But anyway. So I talked about these. I was talking to a lovely young lady by the name of Lacey Lemke, and she asked about them a little bit. Dude, you forget I'm an originally a West Coast guy. I just would rather not have to deal with sharks. That's why I say, freshwater. Just kind of chill. Beach myself somewhere warm, get some sun, and someday it'll happen. And that's kind of my reward. That's my, okay, I can relax for a while now, in theory. Certainly a lot of what happened. Okay, John. I just want to let you know, 1,000 yards from the beach right now. I learned this from Colbert. Love you though, and you deserve it. You should, when you get a chance, get in the water, bro. You need to, but socially distant, no. But that's one thing, guys. I love you. I love Sidney Kemp. I love John Miner. I love Steve Clausen. I love Stef Mari. I love Steve Augusto. I love Brian K. Morris. I love my wife. I love Heather. I love Ben. Rest in peace. I got a lot of love, and I'm tired of feeling like, you're not allowed to say that because people might be sexual or whatever. I don't care anymore. We need more love. There's been too much hate, too much anger. I can be motivated, little whirlwind energy, sure, but let's get the anger out of it. But yes, I have. Now, it's funny. Let's get the anger out of it. I teach Western martial arts and basic, self-defense. But I try to do so with very little anger because we have too much anger in this world. So, getting back to on topic, I was talking to her and I was looking for options. And I actually had a friend ask me a question. It was a neat question. I want a shower knife. And they were asking, would one of these, the cool hand knives, work as a shower knife? I love my friends. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Aside from the eyelets and the thing, it's not going to rust. If you have a mildew-resistant paracord instead of what's given, although this is actually a really nice cord. Oh wait, this isn't my own stuff. This is the stuff they sent. That works, but I thought that is also fairly expensive for something that's only hanging there in case something goes boink. So I started looking for something water resistant that could be used as a defensive tool, and I think I came upon an interesting thing. Cold Steel. Our good friends at Cold Steel make something called the Dart. It's in the FX line, which means it's sharpened polypropylene. And it only runs $5. That's nice. It's a little sharp thing. I know some friends who have considered using them as hair sticks as a lady self-defense option, which I find delightful. But they also sell a neck sheath for $6.99. So for the department of $12, a little more when you get tax involved, you can have this lovely little triangular push puncture item for self-defense. And I kind of love that because I think that might work really well attached to your shower stall. So to answer the question that was posed to me about a shower stall knife, that's really high up there. If you guys have other suggestions or things you think that comment on it, comment below, or get on the Historical Fencing Guild's public group on Facebook and let me know, because I unusual product description is fascinating. I also saw some things that I wanted to talk about. I want to keep an eye on that soldier's charge. The soldier's charge is, one second. Where did my parry dagger go? Essentially one of these that far out in diameter. Same grip, which might fit John Miner's hands. It would be a little tight, but they're great as a synthetic buckler. I wouldn't want to use this against steel. It would just chew it up. But against synthetics, these are great. I find these regularly for the $25 line. Now, they are part of the trio of things I recommend for offhand every time I get a chance. But they're making one that's essentially quite a bit larger. It's also at the $50 line, and that's just a bit pricey for me. So that is something I'm looking to. If you guys really want me to review it, please message me. I'll save up a couple weeks of Patreon money, and I'll use it. Speaking of Patreon money, many people get Patreons and stuff, and they're like, well, what happens to the money? I recently had to purchase an ergonomic keyboard. That's because I have carpal tunnel in both hands and neuropathy. These flippers don't work real well. And typing on a traditional keyboard is not, let's be honest, it's blindingly painful after a while. And I've done it, I'm going for hours with my hands feeling like they've been sliced open and then set on fire. And this thing really helps. It is currently set up with my laptop, because the computer I'm using here I use for art, which is it's a bigger touchscreen, so I do different things with it. So I'm not as worried keyboard-wise about it. But I want to thank you, because that's what lets me do. That means I can work on writing for the Guild. It means I can work on my other writings that help me fund the Guild's a passion project. So my game design, stuff I sell on Amazon, that money comes back and it goes into buying gear and getting things to review and books and stuff for students. And it's wonderful that I was able to have an access to funds to get something I needed to keep doing what I do. So I am very grateful, and that's what we need to do. We need to be grateful for the things that help us in this life. Now, there's something I want to mention, and I'm glad John's here. There's an Eskrima stick. It's $32.99, and it's by Cold Steel, but it is very close to the diameter of a shaved piece of rattan. It might be private. What do you need now? Right now, I have 18 cats for sale. I have no idea what to respond to with John having 18 cats for sale. My brain's trying to tell me it's a Stripes reference, but I've been up later than usual last few nights taking care of some stuff, so I'm a little dingy. But I think you might want to look into that, because it's really cool. And I'm almost tempted to get something like that and have you put a SCA style basket guard so that you can, kind of spar cross culturally, or get a piece of speech impediment. Drink. Yeah, see, it's way too thin for that. But I'd like to, John, you might want to consider getting a piece of HDPE, and they sell it in rods, and making a grip so that some of these HEMA guys you can spar with. We could probably round off the tip on one easy, and it will feel like an SCA sword in diameter. It will be mildly heavy, but not bad. And I think that would really work well. So you might want to look into either HDPE rods or polypropylene rods. I was actually looking up the sheets of the stuff, because if you have either a nice saw and you don't mind plastic bits all over, or one of the laser cutters, depending on CNC type stuff, you can make training swords. Same methodology I used to make this knife and other things. Very inexpensively overall per the output compared to the price of swords. So I'm really kind of leaning on the people with an industrial background. They are that big, aren't they? I had to think about it for a second. So no, that's a little. This is thin. This is closer to an inch. And I was going to demonstrate it, but I left it out. Actually, it's very close in diameter to the spear you gave me. Now, John made this out of Kydex, I believe, right? So it's a little more flexible than some of the plastics. But this mentality could be used to make any number of really nice custom trainers. And that's what there's a shortage of. And I know I harp on it near constantly, but I want to train people with what they carry, what they like, what they have. That's why I have one of these, which is the Cold Steel Trench Hawk trainer. Now, a little birdie a while ago told me at some point in the mail, we'll pass the bars on face guards. I have a question, John. How has COVID affected the SCA? SCA fighting? I'd like to know for that, for HEMA, for the other organizations, how coming out of this is affecting membership and interests. Because I know in some cases there's been a disillusionment coming out of no SCA functions until May 31st. That is good to know, because I was wondering when things started back up. It will be interesting to see who's still SCA after that, because I know I've talked to a lot of people, it sounds odd, but they miss things, but they're also looking at things differently. A lot of people have been cooking more for themselves than they ever did, and they're just not really interested in going back to eat out. They're not as interested in moving along. But so yeah, that's one of those. I think that there will be reevaluate members dropping. Yeah, well, I know a lot of people are switching to HEMA, and a lot of people are actually, just aging out. There's an age gap. So it will be interesting to see who's playing what, where, and how to cater what we do here to that. So that's a conversation I think will be interesting to have. It will be interesting to see. You mentioned you haven't paid your membership, John. Groups that things like marshalettes, fighter cards, everything's expired. So there's gonna, for something like that where you have to re-off, this is gonna be a major issue for groups like the SCA and AmpGuard and the character base. Cindy, when you say lost you again, are you losing me by I'm divergent in topic or by connection? Because I'm not getting any mechanical warnings. Normally I get a thing that says, my signal's been destabilized. So that's really weird. It might be on your end. You might want to check on that. I'm not sure. But see, and that's the thing. Right now, everything's on hold. And part of what I picked up with the Rising Tide folks especially is that they didn't stop. Okay? They kept going. They worked on their projects, and the people who've been working on it are in the position to, as things open up, they have new material, they have new purchases, they have new systems in place. They've been making money through this crisis. And I'm thinking that as martial artists, we need to think, kicking butt, taking names is something that needs to be done. There's always an opportunity in chaos. And that is not unsympathetic or unempathic or even profiteering, because I do not believe one should hurt someone to profit. I've never believed that. But I do believe that if you took the people who took this time and did something with it are going to reap benefits. And it's not too late. For the folks who need to train, you can train. if you're like, hey, I want to learn to fight, guys, pick up my book, read it. The download is very inexpensive. This is a little pricier. This is around $25 because I had to cover color pictures. But I only make a couple bucks at the end of things after everybody gets their piece of the pie. But that's okay. I want you guys to have a tangible thing you can reference. And we need to start looking. There's some really neat systems for training other martial arts. I saw an automated boxing dummy with tracking swing arms and devices that you can use to build up your time and rhythm. And for what we do, some of that could transfer over. Yeah, well, John says everything is on the web. Training, Scribble, Martial. I want to ask something, and it's near and dear to my heart because I haven't checked it yet, in part because I don't want the rage. Have they actually codified and distributed the process of becoming a martial in the SCA? Because my problem was I did my best, but when you open up the Marshal's Handbook, it did not say the process of becoming a marshal. What was needed, it was a very mysterious kind of cloaked thing, and I don't agree with that. John says, a tree is a willing opponent, just hug it after. I will let Ryan or Jonathan. Well, you know what? Those two are in the same household. They're of an age. If they're interested, they could at least be sparring with each other. Jonathan's been around the game long enough. He should know what he's doing. See, Marshall, not really. That's criminal. I'm not saying you don't need to go to a marshal, but it should be coded where everybody knows. So everybody goes, I can do this. So you can't make a mistake because you literally had no access to the rules and then be held accountable for it. That is just a huge rage sticking point. And as long as that's going on, that makes the game an old boys club because you have to cater to personalities. And the marshalate should not be treated like an award. Being a marshal is not an award. It is a skill and it is a responsibility that that really, really should be totally separate from an awardish system. Because being able to say, oh, you can't be a marshal without, the right connections is absolutely gut-wrenchingly abhorrent. And the worst they can say is, you shouldn't say that. Well, I'm going to say it because it's wrong. Yeah. But because I know good people who tried and then didn't. And what happened to me was bull. And I'm okay with saying that was bull too. I won't say I'm not glad because, it let me get in a position to help people outside the group. And it really let me through. Let me put it this way. At points in my life, I have experienced unpleasantness that I learned from. And yet, well, see, that's the other thing. Marshalling, as you said, it is a responsibility where you're accountable for your students. And that's part of it. And that it has the respect. Or you are a referee and that's it. But they flirt with both, and then they have things where if you have a certain title, you're awarded a marshalate, whether you have it or not. And that is detrimental. I think the nicest way I can put it is detrimental. We're an hour in, and we got deep into SCA politics, so I apologize, folks. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by The Simple Sword, available through Amazon. It's also brought to you by my amazing Patreon supporters, those being Stef Mari, who I'm starting with first because she was the quiz earlier, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Kep, and the amazing Steve Augusto, who has been with me despite everything going wrong. Yeah, well, see, that you're supposed to test into it, but to test into it, first you have to have 16 signatures from multiple events showing that you did everything. And then you're eligible to take the test. But wow, okay. And John, message me off because I don't want to get into that level of commentary on a public forum. But and then theoretically you're marshal and you can do the things. I don't know if it's a fixed time or you re-up. I'm not quite sure how that works anymore. It's also been many years since I looked at the handbook. But that was so you could hold legal practices. And I got in trouble because I was holding illegal practices. The problem being I wasn't holding SCA practices. I was doing guild functions like this where guys with boffers would meet up, or I was being the dummy for my buddy who was going for his strip fencing stuff. And it was separate from the SCA, and they couldn't process that. And I had people who alleged to be marshals driving by the house and looking in my windows, and it was problematic. But so now I do what I do now, which is I teach the people I can out in the wilderness here while trying to stay. But I make videos and books, and we build up. And new videos are coming. I'm actually slowly, as I build up, working on resetting these structures. I need to redo my garage to be able to shoot videos. I need to change some areas, and we had some debacles that I'm not, they aren't really for the channel, but hopefully come spring I will have some major changes in so I can get back to doing what I love, which is holding practices, teaching people, building each other up, because that's what it's really about. We need to build each other up, and we need to get better and then get in positions. And I don't care what organization you're in. I'm going to help you if you want help. So, first hour we got talking on that. Oh, I got off script today, and let's see. Oh, actually, no. I have an off-topic rapidity. Oh, ladies, ZWA actually has released war skirts, which are puncture-resistant long skirts for fencing. I find that fascinating, and I know that there was a market for those and some interest for those, so I'm mentioning that. I mentioned the HGP. Wow, I actually stayed on topic without trying. I'm rather proud of myself. Scream, cool hand gear. Talked about the swords. Oh, John, you can send me anything through like Facebook Messenger. That's why I keep my phone just off the screen. You guys will hear it bing. I have people who will comment on things that maybe they don't want to comment in person. But a high quality, low cost, accessible training tools. And I have a system I can teach. Finding the tools to teach it that are accessible to everyone is sort of the holy grail of this mission. And if I can't do it, I'm going to have to make it, and I don't have the manufacturing to do what I want to do. But I got friends in low places, as Garth Brooks was inclined to say. So I'm going to take a moment, and for the longtime fans, I have something I like to call OTR, off-topic rampancy. This is where something that's not really related to the guild gets mentioned, and I chat it up. OTR this week is my new Nerf blaster. Why am I mentioning a Nerf blaster? Yes, okay, let's get back on topic for a second. Cindy Kep says, fighting this skirt was interesting. Hide your footwork, but trip up on the helm. Look the helm. I don't know. Look at the Japanese. I can't even. The word just left me. But the pants you see samurai wear, they're very baggy to disguise footwork. They're fascinating because it allows for mobility. It's essentially a split skirt in a riding skirt where it's pants, but they're very culotte, And it's neat because it is a deceptive practice, but it does come with the hazards of a skirt entangling. I recently watched a video, and I can't remember the young lady's name. She's a stunt fighter, and she reviews fight scenes, and she talks about stunt fighting in movies. And she was talking about the Enola Holmes movie. And it was about fighting in a corset, but found out quickly that fighting in the skirt was more troublesome. And I find that fascinating. So we'll chat it. Yeah, John's on the same page. And Hakama, thank you. I wasn't 1,000% sure I was thinking the right word until I saw it written. And guys, it's not that I don't know. I am terrible at retaining terminology. Yes, Hakama. Yes, I've written it in Japanese. I know this, and it just. But yeah, they're fascinating. It's fascinating, and Zen Warrior Armory does have those out. They haven't got a lot of new stuff, but I am considering some southerly adventures once the border lifts. Because in part, I want to go see real manatees. I realize I've never seen a manatee in the wild, and I think that might be interesting. And that made it on that list with like PETA stingray and a few other strange little Nick bucket list things. So if I'm going south, I might have to see how far Elkin, North Carolina is out of my way to go to the facility that's Zen Warrior Armory, where I've been dealing with sword stuff for 20 years. It would be really kind of cool. So yeah, it's exciting. Hold on, I need to shoot something now. Safety. Anyway, I feel better. I love marksmanship, air rifles, archery, Nerf guns, and I find that it's very non-stressful. And I was telling you guys about Ben's passing and how it affects me, and regrets. And I've been looking at goofy Nerf gun, and I'm like, I'm a grown, nearly 40-year-old man. I don't need another Nerf gun. Yada yada yada. I found out that they were discontinuing it, and they're going to move on with the line. Yada yada yada. And yesterday, I was shopping, and I went, you know what? I want that. It's less than $20. I know I didn't use guild funds. I just bought it. It's like $15. Come on. Yeah. Ha-ka-ma. Don't think in terms, think in characters. It's 3 characters long. Yeah, John has 2 pair, and just one leg would be big enough for 3 midgets and a monkey to use. But freaking giants. Freaking giants. Anyway, wonderful things. Sorry, Cindy, you said helped a couple of my GT students make hakama and kimonos. What does the GT stand for? I realized I saw that go by, and the acronym interested me, so please, I'd love to know. Now, while we're waiting on that, there are small things in life that can bring you joy and adaptability, and there are things. What I do, to train, I spend hours. Oh, Well, yes, John. Also work well for high kick to kick the whole head of it over. Yes, yes, yes. John is a giant ninja. John is a giant samurai. John is the love child of Wolverine and Sabretooth. I mean, like, you guys don't understand. He's huge. He's Hagrid with a martial arts background instead of magic. Anyway, wow, truthful Nick is blaring. I.e., yeah. But I spent a lot of time drilling by myself. Drilling by myself is hard to improve. It takes a lot of refinement. You have to videotape yourself if you don't know what you're doing. You still should, to check and then really do things like, okay, how would I fight myself? So I will actually go through drills and motions, and then I will put the drill or motion on my big screen TV, and I'll watch, and I'll pantomime, without obviously hitting my TV, how I would fight myself. Oh, gifted and talented. Students who are far more creative than the average in Texas, you have to test into it and you get special instruction. We had a program like that, but I was unfortunately unable to. We seem to have people falling back. One of them was if they were curious, so, and I was the gifted and talented teacher that year, so we did a pile of interesting things, including making hakama and kimonos. Absolutely, that is so cool. I tested into the programs, but because of the scheduling, I was unable to do that. Someday, Cindy, I will tell you the stories of my educational background, and you will wince and cry and rage, and then you will want to grab people and apply their faces to a deep fryer. But those are my colorful history that everyone doesn't need to know. Look, I'm a broody protagonist. Come on, I'm barely a support character. But maybe I'm an immortal with my elixir over here. You never know. At this point, I don't know. I'll take it. Ooh. But we have, guys. I know I'm all over the place tonight. I'm okay with that. I think you are too. But start drilling, start working out. I want what I'd like from the people who are I want to get a little more interactive, which is saying something because I'm talking to Cindy. I think one of these days we're going to have a very interesting Facebook chat, you and me, Cindy, until such time as we can actually meet up and have a good time and share foods that are probably not terribly healthy but really yummy. Why would I shoot Manda? Oh, no. Okay, I want to qualify this. Little bit of qualifier. Do I have any more darts for this thing over here? This thing, and I was supposed to save the ball to show you, shoots little Nerf balls, and they look like little miniature golf balls. Shoots them at 90 feet per second. So it's about 4 times the diameter of a 4 or 5 times the diameter of an airsoft pellet, and it's moving at about a quarter of the speed, so you can postulate it hits real similar to a moderate airsoft springer round. So I do not actually shoot these at people. I only use it for target practice because I find it amusing. But I found it amusing. And coming out of being very upset, this has been a hard week. Ben passed, who's one of my dearest friends. Mira Furlan actually passed last night, the lady who played Delenn on Babylon 5. But maybe people, it's one of those that people in my circle know I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan. It was very important to me at certain key points in my life, and I love the universe. So when one of the actresses, she played Delenn, passes, it hit hard. And it hit hard on top of the death of a friend, on top of this fascinating shift in politics. And I try not to talk politics too much on my channel, in part because it's just not economically wise to, and in part because guys, you get enough of that on the TV. But Manatee Man, see my manatees right here. It sounds like a lot of people are having internet problems, and I'm sorry about that. But let's see. I talked that. Okay. I want to see, folks. There must be some storms because a lot of people are interrupting. Maybe it's something beyond my connection. So I may call it fairly early tonight. I'm not sure, just because I feed off of what comes to me, and I also check on the people who really really. Okay. Need it. Because we got to, guys, we got to do something about this. We are at the point where a lot of the great storm, it's nearing its peak or it's reached its peak. Railguns. John says, do you know how they created the railgun? It first started as springs. Well, yeah. Now a railgun is a sequentially magnetized, a set of electromagnets that grab a metal ball or a bar, depending on the style. Gauss rifle versus railgun. Similar concepts. We're just going to go through it. And they rapidly turn them on and off, thus pulling it with magnetic fields and launching this otherwise inert projectile at ridiculous speeds. Yes, in the weapons that have been declassified enough to be admitted are in popular existence. Railguns are being used in that the ammunition doesn't require an explosive base. So you have something that can do kinetic energy. So you have kinetic energy rounds that aren't, they aren't self-propelled, so there's no explosion. They're much quieter, they're devastating, and they can still deliver explosive payloads. This is an interesting weapon system. I think what's happened is the technology has gone to the point where it can look at the ludicrous amount of energy a mobile nuclear power plant like is on board many naval vessels can put out, and actually really put it in a direction to use. So it's really neat stuff. There is also a company right now, and I cannot remember their name, selling home defense. They're marketing it for home defense railguns as possibly a way to get around certain firearms restrictions. It's a fascinating bit where technology and legality are starting to bump into each other. And it will be neat to see. Thank you for bringing that up, John. It's interesting. And you guys keep catching me before I'm ready to wind down. So I'll roll with it. Let me see. I got a point. Oh. Yeah, the neck knives, yeah. I thought I mentioned this. Did I say? If you missed it, this is part of the CRKT minimalist line. This is the Gears model, which is why it's green and not black. The scales on the side of the knife and the sheath, which is a type of kydex, glow in the dark. It's very hard to take a picture of, but it works. It's part of the reason I like it, because when my power goes out, this is on a hook that holds my glasses so I can find everything in one place, because I'm a member of the Scuba Sleeper Squad, which means I use a breathing machine, and I am thus rather rapidly woke up whenever the power goes out. So it's a neat neat development. I can't recommend these guys enough. I would say the black, I think it's called the Spear Point. It's a very minimalist. I carried one for years. I mislaid it somewhere. I was not a fall of the sheath. I truly believe I mislaid it fixing something. And I believe it was while I was gardening, so it may have been buried. I was shaky without it. This is like a grounding thing for me. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't feel comfortable or like myself without one of these. But yeah, they are right under between the $20 and $25 line. And I can't really find a better investment for that kind of money for that round. I actually have a black spear point in its package tucked away in case something happens to this, but my wife got me this, and it's pretty. So, yes, I want to talk about that. I also saw a video not too long ago I wanted to mention that talked about making a very simple crossbow that was based on early period designs from a peasants' revolt. And guys, there are few things I love more than the improvised equipment of peasants' revolts in history. It's fascinatingly practical with little or no direct resources. I mean, I'll try to find the link. If I haven't put it up on the guild public list, I will. I also want to talk. There are other places you can see me. There's a channel called Stupid O'Clock, hosted primarily by a wonderful gentleman named Joe McKeel, who's involved in. He does a lot of armchair rocket announcements. He's a former NASCAR mechanic and involved in a Halloween convention called HoloCon in I think it's in Georgia, right across the Tennessee line. I always get it wrong, but they're based out of that whole Chattanooga area, and just fascinating people. I know. Well, how do I put this? I know there's a lot going on, guys, and I know this has not been my video. I will say I do better when you guys give me questions. So, viewers, please comment things. Give me the material to work with. I want to start. I'm trying to get in shape enough to get in shape. And when I can cross that line where I'm regularly doing things that would be beneficial for you guys to see, I want to try to sort of journal it here a bit, show you guys how I'm progressing, what I am doing to build up, because people ask me, how do I build up? Connection just went flaky due to West Coast storms. You know what? I think something is up because your connection is flaky. Cindy Kep's connection is flaky. I don't really see anyone else commenting, and we're an hour and a half of a 2-hour show. So what I think I'm going to do, guys, I think I'm just going to call it a night. My wife has to work tomorrow. I need to take it a bit easy. So let's just do the outro if no one else hops on. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by The Simple Sword, the easiest way to learn to stab. Yes, easiest way to learn to kill your friends safely. It is brought to you by the Big Stompy Robots line of games. I'm going to ask you to keep track of a gentleman by the name of Luke Stone over at Terraform Comics, because he's making the hybrids, the Sons of Gods. It's a comic line. It's amazing. I want to shout out special to John Miner and Cindy Kep. This was a hard video for me to shoot this week, and Steve Clausen as well. And I appreciate you guys coming out and talking. And I just thank you guys for coming out and every week being here to chat. It's important and it helps me do what I'm doing. I want shout out to Brian K. Morris for Rising Tide publication. He's just an amazing guy, and he kicks in every month. I cannot thank Stef Mari enough because she's an old friend and she helps out. And I can't, Syndicate, CKOEPP.com. This woman who you see support me, she's in the background comments of an unknown number, of just a vast number of different broadcasts like this and shows, and she's constantly building people up. That's heroic. In these dark days, anybody who's going out of their way to build people up and make them better, folks, that's what we need. So I really want you to follow Cindy Kep. She has a newsletter. She tells you what she's on. Story. She's doing a graphic novel. The art looks great. Graphic novel is on my bucket list. It is on the list of things I need to do. So it's neat seeing someone else do it. I'm gonna, normally I keep plugging myself and do the whole thing, but this time I'd really like you guys to follow that GoFundMe, and literally anything you give is helping somebody who suddenly lost her wife, lost her husband, and a young boy and a young girl who lost their father. And we all lost the kind of person who makes us better than we are. And I am not whole right now. I am diminished by his passing and their absence. And that wound will scar over. But like Jesse Tibbetts and some others, it never goes away. And that's okay. That's right. Because I use that as a reminder to get this stuff done. I got a list to do, things I got to do before I can rest. Of miles to go before I can rest. So, don't rest, guys. Let's be honest. There ain't no rest for the wicked. Most of us have a pretty wicked streak. So be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. Keep training, guys. Keep your guard up. Drill. Get better. Spring is coming. Better days are coming. And once again, and as always, please support your local sword master.